Aren't you excited? You're going to be a fairy. And live in the world where time stands still. Where nobody can see what you're up to ever again.
Okay, I think we can click and move on from there. So yeah, right away and guys, if anyone is in the chat, um, because this is the beginning of the game, and if someone watches this later on repeat, I am going to try really hard to avoid any spoilers. Where we're at in the current actual timeline of streaming the game, I haven't finished the game yet, so I don't know how the very end ends. But we've definitely come. The last stream that we did, we came across a huge plot point and a huge thing that happens. So if you're on the comments, maybe let's keep this spoiler free. Okay, we have swiveled left, we have swiveled right, and now we move. Okay, examine. Oh, that's something that that's something that I just now learned that I could use. When you are examining an object, you kind of rotate around it instead of spinning around just 360 degrees. So sometimes I kind of feel like I get locked in and I have trouble finding or kind of having to crane in sort of a funny way to find the next node. But um, that kind of makes it a lot better, or a little bit better at least. Okay, so where do we go next? Okay, we have examined things. We've done our swiveling. We've crouched. Ah, there we go. Okay, so here's where we crouch. We can pick something up. We can show item info. This is something that is really important. I did go back and I tried to, I was curious to see what other people thought of this game, to see if people remembered it as fondly as what I was remembering it. So I watched some reviews and some spoiler-free discussions. I have really gone out of my way to avoid spoilers because I have enjoyed experiencing this game um, from a fresh perspective without having spoilers. I am the worst at um, sort of reading spoilers on games and kind of spoiling the ending and spoiling the big surprises. I kind of did that to myself with The Last of Us 2. And while I did really, really enjoy my experience and my time with The Last of Us 2, I do kind of feel like I missed out. There we go. I do feel like I kind of missed out just a little bit on not getting.
Every new fairy gets a little gift.
Huh?
Find the golden wand and touch it with your hand.
Okay, we gotta go say hi to Mr. Kitty, even though fairies fear cats. Okay. So now this is where we're gonna kind of start the story proper just after this. But yeah, so I've done really well in avoiding spoilers for this game for how it ends. I haven't even looked up yet where to find all 8 of the coins, which I kind of don't think we're going to. I'm stuck at 4. I don't quite know where to find the 8th coin, or where to find the other half of the coins that I'm missing. So here we get the red ring. 1 ring to bind them. If you like it, put a ring on it. Something, something, put a ring on it. I'm so sorry, guys. I promised you guys I would not sing during these streams. So a friend kind of asked me an interesting question the other day. Why am I focusing streaming around VR? Um, and I definitely think that is a fair point.
Did you know all good fairies need 2 rings? Find the other one, and you'll see how life and time are beholden to the rings.
Okay, so this is just kind of setting up the world a little bit more. Words of guidance addressed to a fairy. Welcome, new fairy, denizen of the place where time stands still. And so that is kind of the explanation that we get for why everything in the world is frozen. You'll notice that the characters are frozen in place. The curtains on the windows are frozen, and that's because fairies live and exist in the land where, or the place where time stands still. Okay, there's yet another ring. Use the 2 fairies' rings together to master life and time. So the red ring is the ring of life. Words of guidance addressed to a fairy. On the right hand, the red ring of life. It can hold a duration of life. With the right hand empty, press the square or triangle button on the right controller to view the life that was claimed. Contains no time. And here we get the second ring. This is the Ring of Time. And it's going to zap on my finger, and this is what allows us to move both forwards and backwards in time. Words of guidance addressed to a fairy. On the left hand, the blue ring of time shows the wisdom of the chronometer. With the left hand empty, press the square or triangle button on the left hand, or on the left controller, the chronometer and its wisdom. So we can see this. And when the clock is ticking whenever you open it, it lets you know that you can move somewhere in time. When it's, you'll hear it ticking when you're not, yeah. Okay. So here's a student. When you see a specter like this, and I think this note is probably going to explain it, words of guidance addressed to a fairy, memories taken from in the place where time stands still. People's recent actions remain in the shape of phantoms, and their words as gently drifting globes of light. Touch the echo of a voice to hear what was said before.
Have you ever heard of the fairies? Wondrous creatures who live in a world where time stands still.
Okay, so I believe that that is Yulia, who is going to be one of the first characters that we're going to meet in this game. Words of guidance addressed to a fairy. Press the start button to open the system menu and change options. Consult the control guide for help on learning the controls. Okay, so that was pretty simple. The chronometer, words of guidance addressed to a fairy. The chronometer measures the ripples of time, offering guidance to fairies. With each ripple of time and its ensuing changes, the chronometer moves. When the ripples resolve, the chronometer glows brilliantly. Hold the glowing chronometer with both hands to be delivered to a different place in time. So I can hear, even without opening it up, I can hear it's ticking, and I can see the sparkles coming off of it, so that is our indication. Now there is something. Okay, so we are moving to the first epoch in time. So even though this is technically where the actual game and the actual story begins proper, like I said, that little tutorial does set up the world and the lore. It explains really briefly and really simply who you are, what kind of realm you exist in, the rules that you exist in.
Fairy, kind fairy, can you hear me? If my voice travels to the place where time stands still, then please, won't you be friends with us? Please?
And we have a girl here who is asking to be friends with us. Letter, a letter written in a gentle script. Hello, dear fairy. If you happen to read this letter in the place where time stands still, won't you please be friends with us? I know how it works from a story I read. If this flower blooms, I'll know you're near, and I'll never, ever forget you. A small slate used in classroom lessons, wiped clean.
Will they believe me, I wonder? If the fairy makes the flower bloom as a sign and I go to tell them.
So that's one of the mechanics of the game. In order to reveal some of these speech specters, you have to find objects that the characters are holding or that the characters are wearing and remove them, and it will release one of those speech specters. So this is a game where if you want to get the full story, then you're going to really want to be thorough in your exploration.
I'm sure the fairy will enjoy these. They're everyone's favorite. I just hope the seeds don't cause a fuss.
So something is hiding under here.
Now, hold this little life firmly in your right hand and use it to follow the red ring of time.
So we have now taken the life from the grapes. And this game has excellent little sound cues. When you hear something like that, that means you have completed a story pertinent action. And if I click on here, I can see that the life ring now contains the grape's remaining time. Touch something that has died to revive it by granting it time. And if I open up the chronometer, what could make a flower bloom? What could the time stored in the ring be used for? So the game does give you little hints. I was watching the PSVR Without Parole, and guys, I really want to suggest anyone who is interested in PSVR specifically to check out their channel. Their content covers exclusively revolves around PSVR. They are definitely...
Grasp this withered life securely in your right hand. Use the red ring to bestow it with time.
They are definitely sort of the premier PSVR channel. They do the PSVR award show, and they get such prestigious guests as game developers. They get other journalists in the industry. I think at the first one they had not Colin Moriarty, but the other guy from Kind of Funny Games, formerly on IGN, Greg. Not Greg Smith, Greg something. They do reviews, and so they're a really good source of information for all things PlayStation VR related.
Kind fairy, I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for giving me a sign. My name is Yulia. Will you be our friend?
And now I can hear that the clock remains ticking, so that lets us know that we have completed all of the critical objectives in this certain period of time. I know a lot of people, when this game was initially released and they saw the announcement trailers, and I think this is one of the reasons why this game underperformed the way it did, is they didn't like that the world was still. It kind of felt like you were moving through a slideshow, like an old school, adventure game like Myst, where nothing moves, there's no motion to the world. But I think that having it done this way, one, it makes sense with lore. You exist in the land where time stands still, and two, it makes those moments where the world does come to life feel all that more impactful. And especially in VR, like when Yulia leaned forward, you really get that sense of someone being in the room with you, and you instinctively want to lean back, and it kind of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's a unique experience to gaming in VR. Okay, so now we are done with this level. This level kind of introduces the basic mechanics of the game, and it also sets the story in motion. Yulia, the girl who's holding the flower, wants to prove to the rest of her classmates or the rest of the people in the boarding school or orphanage, whatever it is that we're in, that fairies are real. So we're leaving the 17th of September at 5 p.m. And we're moving forward in time to the 20th of October at 7 a.m.
Now, listen closely, everyone. You all have to look after your herbs. You need to hide them somewhere very, very safe. Or, when you're not looking, the fairy will magic them away and stick them all in your stew. Then we can all be friends with the fairy, even those who don't believe yet.
So Yulia is kind of telling the kids, or kind of guiding the kids on how they can get the fairy to show its presence, since the fairy can't be seen by living human children, or can interact with it, because the children live in a forward-moving timeline where the fairy, again, exists in the land where time stands still. So this thank you card, and this just kind of gives you the who's who cheat sheet, notes on the children written in a gentle script. Lornik, the big older boy. Herman, who loves his hat. And Herman is pictured there, not wearing his hat. Marie, flowing golden hair. There's Marie down there. Nils wears glasses, nose deep in his books. Rosa, the little girl wearing ribbons. And the headmaster, old Smarty in the chair. And that goes into our inventory. So we have Yulia, Lornik, Herman, Marie, Nils, and Rosa. And so for anyone who has seen, the previous chapter or the future chapters of this game, we're already starting to get hints as to a couple of reveals that are going to come later on in the game. And I like that they're there, and if you know what you're looking for, they're really obvious. But if you don't know what you're looking for, then it just kind of sets up this mystery of, wait a second, something wasn't right with that last clue. Something was maybe missing from that last clue. And here we see Yulia, and she is looking at Lornik the big one in the kitchen preparing the children's stew. So we don't have any specters of light, so let's see if there's anything that we can grab from Yulia that will make a specter of light appear. Here is a statue thingy of a cat, so let's touch that, even though we're afraid of kitties. But we do get a speech specter.
It's mushroom stew today. Herbs go wonderfully with mushrooms. If only the fairy would come today.
I think we're setting up the mission for this chapter.
Thank you, kind fairy. You're really here. Please read the letter very carefully. Then we can have some fun with everyone.
Oh my. Letter from Yulia, a letter written in a gentle script. Hello, dear fairy. I want you to play a trick on everyone. The boys and 2 girls have done their best to hide their herb vials away. Please find them and mix them in the stew. It will knock them off their feet, and they'll never doubt you again. So I really, really like what this opening mission kind of accomplishes here. Like, it does a really good job of, sending you on kind of a devious quest. Like, I don't know if these herbs are poisonous, if there is something in these herbs that affect your mental state. But basically, Yulia over here is trying to get us to poison the rest of her classmates to prove that fairies are real. And so we're looking for each of these kids has a vial of herbs hidden away somewhere. Lornick, not so hidden. Lawrence, his not so very well hidden. His is just around his neck here. So we're going to... Let's see if there are any. Okay, yeah, no, there are no. Oh, there is a speech cue here that I think I may have missed.
A fairy, eh? If what Yulia said is true, then perhaps the herbs could get into the stew. No, silly me. That's impossible.
Okay, so Yulia has told the kids, she has primed the kids, hide your herbs somewhere where no one else could get them. If they magically appear in the stew, then you know that the fairy is real. So we're going to add the first vial of herbs to the stew.
This stew tastes a little bitter.
Uh-oh.
What am I thinking? If the fairy really put in all our herbs, I wouldn't have survived the first spoonful.
Like, some of the way that this dialogue is written really does make it sound like you are going to poison and murder all of these children. And who knows, that could be like the big twist at the end of the game, that in this chapter, the fairy just straight up like commits mass murder in this orphanage or this boarding school and poisons all of the kids with these herbs. So during these live streams, I'm really bad at like starting stories and not finishing them. So as we kind of slowly, ooh, I wonder where this door leads to. Storage. This academy is where you're going to spend the majority of your playtime. So you might want to get used to these halls because you're going to be doing a lot of exploring around here. Okay, so we've come across one of the other students, and I think this is Marie. This is the only one that I'm a little uncertain of. I don't know if this is Marie or if this is another one of the people at this academy who is just sort of like the caretaker or the person who cleans. So let's see what information we can glean from this person.
Right, all nice and clean now. Just a few more windows to open.
Ooh, she's opening the windows to let some fresh air into the school. I wonder if this opens windows.
Who's that? Oh, goodness, Herman. He's gone to sleep up there again. I know how much he likes it, but sleeping up in trees is much too dangerous. I'll have to speak with him later.
So I'm taking a slightly different path to get the clues this time. It doesn't really matter which path you take to get to the clues. They're all the same, but to kind of continue on with one of the things that I was talking about, one of the criticisms that this game got from the guys over at PSVR Without Parole in their discussion, in their spoiler-free discussion of this game, is they felt like sometimes the puzzles were esoteric, and you just kind of had to grab around at everything and just kind of guess at what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm going to have to kind of disagree. If you take your time with this game and you use all of the tools at your disposal, this game, I think, does a really good job of guiding you to the solutions of the puzzles, or guiding you to places of interest where you might find a solution to the puzzle. Like if you first start exploring this game, you open up the window, you notice that someone is sitting out in that tree. Maybe he's going to have a vial of herbs somewhere on him. On the chalkboard, it mentioned that he likes his hat, so maybe that's where he would store his vial of herbs.
Must be nice to be Herman, always having fun. I wonder what he has stashed under his hat today.
And see, and she even mentions, I wonder what he has stashed under his hat today. So that gives you a clue that something important might be stashed under his hat. So I love this game, and I really do like these, adventure kind of like puzzle type games and story driven games. But it's hard for me to give this a definite recommendation to everybody, because I definitely kind of think that, like if you're not down with slow exploration, story-driven games where you have to, kind of poke and prod around at things to find these little clues, this is another reason that I think this game kind of got a bad reception and didn't sell as well as what it could have. Is this game was developed by From Software, and FromSoft is of course famous for developing games like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, these games where the primary focus of those games is really, really intense, tough as nails combat. And this game is sort of like not that at all. There is absolutely no combat in this game whatsoever. So it feels like a complete 180 from what FromSoft does. What is in keeping with the FromSoft tradition is the tone of the story. And this first chapter does start out light, and you're mischievous. You're trying to put herbs in the kids' stew, and it's kind of haha funny. But minor spoiler warning: the story definitely does take a very, very dark turn in the later chapters.
I wonder if the fairy's taken our herbs yet. I certainly hope so.
And this is another one of those clues that, kind of guides you to where you might go. So she is heading up these stairs. And something else to notice, too, she's walking with a cane. So something might be wrong with this girl. But this kind of guides you up here. Let me take a quick peek down at the live chat. No one is saying anything, unfortunately. It looks like the health of our stream is still good. We're not dropping frames, which is something that I had a problem with. I changed a few settings, and I think I got that squared away. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I can already see that there are herbs inside of this chest, and it is locked.
Has the fairy come to play?
So whenever you make movements like this, the children can kind of tell when something moves, and
Doesn't look like it. Maybe the fairy couldn't open the box. It was locked after all.
oh, so we have to find a key to unlock the box. So there she has her cane, and if we bend down here, we can see that her leg is bandaged, and if we touch it, that is one of the few things that we can do to get some kind of interaction or animation out of the students. And this. Oh, hey! What do you know? This is one of the coins that I haven't found yet. Hopefully, in the actual like full playthrough that we're doing, I can come back up here and nab that coin during that playthrough. So that gets us one more coin further to our goal. Can't believe I always go up there every time, and I've never noticed that before. Gee willikers. Okay. So we've explored everything around here. Let's go downstairs and see what we can explore downstairs. Okay, so there is an open door there. I wonder if there's something outside. Actually, let's before we go outside, let's keep exploring the inside of the school here and see what we find. Here is Nils, the one that wears glasses. Ah, there we go.
What? The bookmark I had here has gone. No, I must have left it upstairs. Is this the sort of thing that makes people believe in fairies?
So this jumped into our inventory. Let's read what this is. A bookmark featuring a drawing of a bird, the winged creature, kindly sketched by Herman, is known to Nils only in his books. So that's curious. So I always notice that flies into the inventory. It doesn't really do anything, but something that is curious about this winged, it's a bird. This winged creature, kindly sketched by Herman, is known to Nils only in his books. So they live in this, really nice area with lots of trees. You would think that there would be all kinds of wildlife roaming around the outer gardens or the outer walls of this school. So why hasn't Nils seen any birds? And there is something that is said later on in the game, and this isn't a huge spoiler, but this just kind of deepens the mystery of what on earth is going on here. But one of the kids says, maybe I should warn them about the living snake up there. No, they would be so excited to see another living thing. So that is just really curious and peculiar. Ah, this is why it pays to kind of search around here.
No mistake. The key to the box is gone. I can't believe it. The fairy is real.
So we found the key to that box. Before we go back up there, let's check out and see what's going on here. Okay, so we know that there is a vial of herbs around this dog, so we've got to find this dog somewhere.
Oh, Danny, enough of that. You must really miss Yulia, eh, boy? Fine. I'll let you hold on to my herbs. But just for a bit, okay? I miss her too, you see.
Miss Yulia. Why would the dog miss Yulia? And why would she miss Yulia if Yulia is standing out front of the kitchen?
And don't you forget to look out for the fairy. Or those herbs will be gone before you know it. According to Yulia, anyway.
So the kids are definitely doubting my fairy existence. Wow. Another reason that I'm really glad I am playing through this particular chapter, or these opening chapters again, is the last time I played this was on the PlayStation 4. I have since gotten a PlayStation 5, and while this game doesn't say that it has any official support for the PS5 or any enhancements for the PlayStation 5, I definitely noticed a difference in like the frame rate, the smoothness at which you turn and you look around the world, the smoothness at which your hands move, and things do look like the resolution is maybe slightly better or slightly more enhanced on the PlayStation 5. And this just it's like getting to experience things again for the first time. Oh, there's the Marie up in the window. And we noticed Herman when we were talking to Marie up in the window. Here is a bird sketchbook. Herman really likes sketching birds. A book of drawings by Herman, impressionistic, but nevertheless enthusiastically drawn sketches of birds soaring through the distant sky. And yeah, we can see birds there. So why hasn't Nils seen the birds if I can see the birds flying right there? Ah, and I kind of knew it. Where'd my hat go? The very quiet, contemplative type. It locks an animation, but he doesn't say anything. So let's see what Nils' hat says. The hat, or what Herman's hat says. The hat Herman always wears. He hides all manner of things underneath. So this time I think we're going to be nice. We're going to give the hat back to Herman. He does seem to appreciate that.
Thank you for returning my hat.
Well, you are very welcome, good sir.
I hide all kinds of things in here. Some people use pockets. I use my hat.
Yeah, if I had a hat, I'd hide my vial of herbs underneath it. Oh, I see the doggy. I see the poochie. And a vial of herbs is still around its neck.
You're still here, Danny. You like to squeeze into low places. I like to climb up high. Neither of us likes to stay put.
So yeah, so that's another hint on where you can look for Herman if you didn't happen to see him. Like if you went straight outside and you didn't notice him up in the tree, that would give you a hint to look at high places. And he also tells you where the puppy is. And there's the dog. And animals, I guess, can kind of sense fear. You can pet the doggy. And he kind of has a little reaction there. Hello, puppy. And you definitely noticing that vial of herbs missing. Hey, buddy. Okay. So we see something over there. Oh?
Did you hide my herbs good and proper?
I absolutely did.
Great. I'll keep the key to the box. Nice and safe in my trouser pocket.
So again, if we didn't think to check his trouser pocket, which you do kind of have to crouch down and circle around and just happen to notice that the key is there. This kind of lets you know, okay, so Herman, that kid that we saw in the library, might have something in his trouser pocket, the key to that box upstairs. So that would be another clue. Like I said, that's why I disagree with PSVR without parole's analysis. These puzzles are obtuse and just kind of has you blindly searching. And what I found is each level of this game, if you slow down and you pay attention and you read all of the item descriptions and you listen to what the kids say and you explore for all of these specters and these speech specters, they'll give you little guides on and little hints on how to solve each of the chapter's primary puzzles. Okay, so now that we've seen everything there, we can go up the stairs here. And now I think we have the key to unlock the box with the herbs. So something that my best friend Tank was kind of mentioned the other night, and this is one of those stories that I kind of started to tell earlier, is he asked, why focus on streaming VR? It seems like it's only really fun for one person, the person playing it, because when you're in the VR headset, you do get that impression that you are in the world and you see things in 3D. And I think he's right that VR. I'm just kind of peeking my head up here to check on the quality of the stream, check to see if anyone's saying anything in the chat, and not yet. But I think that he's right. Like, there are some games that I think are really only fun for the person playing it and not fun for the person watching it. Beat Saber, like, yeah, if you're watching someone who's really, really skilled at Beat Saber, that can be kind of cool to watch. Arcade type shooter games. I did a live stream of about the first hour and a half of Iron Man VR. And yeah, when you're in combat and you're kind of zipping around, there is something that's lost in translation. But at least I hope that games like this that have a narrative and that are story focused, that if you're not playing the game with me, if you're not, watching this through a VR headset, you can still get something out of, kind of experiencing the story. And that's kind of, why I want to show off these games is, if you watch the first part, maybe you have a PSVR, maybe, you'll want to get a PSVR and play this game for yourself, and that's great. Maybe you don't, for whatever reason, don't have a way to actually get your hands on a PSVR, since this is a PlayStation exclusive and a PlayStation VR exclusive. You can't play this game on flat screen. That if you watch these Let's Plays, that at the very least, you can sort of get the story through watching this. And like I said, I think this really does have just a fantastic, fantastic story. Although, admittedly, the story does definitely start off really, really slow. Like, it takes a few chapters to really get into the story.
Good Fairy, you're here, aren't you? I'm so glad to meet you.
Aw, I'm glad to meet you too, little Rosa.
Please, kind Fairy, please be friends with us.
Oh, of course, Rosa. And we see two vial of herbs, Rosa's vial of herbs, and Nil's vial of herbs. And you can just tell how much love and care was put into the development of this game. And especially as you get further into the story, this really does kind of feel like one of those stories that whoever wrote this story had a story in their heart, in their soul, that they wanted to tell. And I really kind of feel like people should experience this story. It's especially in video games, it's so, or in any media, in books or in literature, there are tons of good stories, but this is one of those stories that if you watch the later parts of this live stream, there are parts of the story that really, really affect me and really, really hit me hard. I'm not going to say that I don't cry often at media. Yeah, there are a lot of movies and stuff that make me cry, but this one left a definite, at least to where I'm at. I haven't gotten to the end yet, but this one definitely impacted me emotionally in a way that few games do, or few movies or few books for that matter. So this is the headmaster's office. The written confession of a young girl. On the night of the storm, when I hurt my leg, so I think they're talking about Rosa, I saw something that I shouldn't have. Every night in my dreams, the thing touches my leg. That's why it never heals and never stops hurting night after night. Please, headmaster, what should I do? So that is telling us not only how she hurt her leg, but that's giving us some insight into the greater lore of this story. It's telling us that not only did she hurt her leg, but that something out of the ordinary happened that is preventing her leg from healing. So we don't know when the night of the great storm is, but we can assume that it was long enough ago that her leg should have started healing by this point, and because whatever she saw out in the woods touched her leg and continues to touch her leg night after night, her leg isn't healing. It's continuing to hurt her. So there is some malevolent force out there that is doing some harm to the children. So if you do decide to play this game and you find these coins, there is a little box that you deposit the coins into, and it counts down every time you find a box, and it does carry over from chapter to chapter. Okay, so we have all the herbs. I think we've done everything in this chapter that there is to do. Let's go poison some kitties. Okay, so let's open up our thing, and we'll just drop these in one by one. And we are going to see a same variation of this.
This does taste bitter.
Play for every vial of herbs we deposit into the soup. Oh no, this tastes bitter. It's not right yet.
Oh no, I remember this flavor.
2 more vials. Oh no, this soup tastes like garbage. I'm a terrible cook. The fairy isn't putting anything in.
Oh, I'm sure of it now.
Oh.
These are Julia's herbs.
Oh. Actually, I take that back. We might be getting somewhere. One last vial of herbs. Ugh. And we killed him. He's dead. Oh, yeah, he's convulsing on the floor.
You've outdone yourself, Julia.
Okay, maybe he's not dead. Is there something that we can... Okay, but I can hear that the clock is ticking, so let's proceed on to the next chapter. So I can definitely see people picking up this game and playing through the first chapter, through the first couple of chapters, which admittedly, like I said, they do move slow, but they move slow with purpose. They introduce you to the kids. They give you a, fun, mischievous activity. And if the game didn't begin this way, if it didn't begin with a way that kind of, introduces you to the children in a fun way, then I don't think the later chapters, when the story really starts to pick up, would hit nearly as hard. Travel to the next epoch. So I do believe this is the last chapter that we're going to play for tonight, because I think that this is where part 2 of the live stream picks up. And like I said, all the other parts of the live stream are now fixed. They look fine. They look good. No technical issues. So we're going to end here. So we moved forward in time to the 22nd of October at 1 p.m. So this is the
If
same...
you've been visited by a fairy, it's customary to provide it with a chair. If the fairy fancies the spot that it's given, it will stay for a very long time.
Aw, so they're setting up...
Why don't we ask everyone where they think the chair should go? Everyone can think of a spot, write it down, and we'll gather all the ideas together.
So they are really starting to set up what's going to be happening in this story. You're looking for... the children are looking for a place for the cherry to sit. So the children are really concerned with befriending you, the fairy. It's really important to them that you, the fairy, are pleased with them and that you be their friend and that you stick around for a while. Maybe, and I'm going to stop here for just a second and take a sip of my sparkling water. Tonight's sparkling water is Buble, the cherry flavored. Delicious, my favorite flavor. I have definitely learned to come prepared on the nights that I do these VR live streams. I have to stick a straw down in a can of my sparkling water, and That way, when I talk a lot, I don't get so parched. My voice doesn't get dry. And so far, it looks like the quality is holding up good. Okay, so let's kind of do some exploring around and see what we find. So this is later on in the same day. It looks like the children are sitting down to eat the poisoned soup, and oh no, we've claimed another victim! We're murderers! We're madmen! Madmen! Okay, sorry. It's okay to be goofy in these early levels because this is, you know, the game definitely stops getting goofy.
It's all right, Marie. I like it. Yulia's herbs are wonderful. I'm pleased that you liked it. I'm sure Yulia and the fairy will be very happy to hear that.
So again, where is Yulia? These kids are, you know, talking about Yulia and the fairy. I'm sure Yulia would be pleased. Is Yulia sick somewhere? Did something bad happen to Yulia? And this is something that I have been curious about since the very first time that I started playing this game at the end of last year, is I see Marie has this napkin, and knowing the time period, I'm just so curious if she oh, okay. And I've never opened up the dialogue to this, so this might explain what she's doing with this handkerchief. I initially thought that it might be because she has tuberculosis, TB, because I know that was a thing, you know, back in this time period, and children were susceptible to. And every time I see her with one of these napkins, I keep expecting to see it spotted with blood. Like, just all of these children are royally fucked, and this is going to be a sad, sad story. Marie's handkerchief, Echo, a pleasantly scented handkerchief that Yulia gave to Marie. Aww. However, this is a mere illusion drawn from memory. This whole scene, as we can tell that they're specters, so the children are somewhere else out in the school, and we're just seeing a recent memory of them having this dinner together, or lunch, or whatever.
I can't take it. It's much too bitter. Rosa, you don't have to eat it. Surely Lawrence will.
Oh, so that's the first part of the speech, and then Rosa answers with, "It's fine, I like it."
It's all right, Marie. I like it. Yulia's herbs are wonderful. I'm pleased that you liked it. I'm sure Yulia and the fairy will be very happy to hear that.
So, you know, one of the questions with story, you know, some people are very adamant that stories don't belong in video games. A video game should be all about the gameplay, and anytime that you have a strong narrative in a video game, you kind of ask the question, well, why did it need to be told in this medium as opposed to just being a movie? In Errant Signal, another YouTube channel that I really, really like, he does really great video game analyses. Talking about the first last of his game, he kind of said that stories and the gameplay sometimes kind of mix like oil and water. It feels like, you know, you go through all of this gameplay and you're rewarded with basically watching these cut up bits of a movie. And so the question becomes, well, why not just watch a movie of it? Wouldn't you enjoy the story better if you were, you know, watching it uninterrupted? And wouldn't the gameplay be better if the bits of gameplay weren't constantly interrupted by forcing you to watch this movie?
I'm done for. No. Don't die on me, Herman.
Uh-oh. Oh no, Herman.
Herman? You alright? Yeah. Never felt better.
Okay, so Herman is fine. The stew apparently was just really delicious with Yulia's herbs added to them. So as we kind of make our way to the next epoch, I agree and I disagree with that. I think that some video games, yes, I think that some video game stories feel like they would be better off if you did separate the story from the game. You know, they have, you know, decent gameplay, and it feels like the gameplay is interrupted by these long bits of story. They have a really interesting story, but it feels like the story is broken up by these long bits of gameplay, and you know, it would be better if you could experience them differently. I really appreciate games like this that use their medium to tell their story. Like this story, you certainly could make a movie out of this story, but you would experience it completely differently. You know, part of experiencing this story, and part of what you get out of this story is that you can find things like those speech bubbles back there that are kind of mixed up and are kind of out of order. You can find clues in a non-linear way, and even though this does sort of tell a linear story from chapter to chapter, within each chapter you can find different parts of the story, or you can get hints as to what that guide you what to look for or where to go next in different orders. And they have, you know, multiple hints and multiple pathways that lead you to the same place, that each person in each playthrough you can discover them differently and in a different order. And as you do multiple playthroughs, you know, you can kind of start to put together, like, this is the first time that I put together that even though the first speech bubble that I found was Rose's, that there is a continuity between Marie's speech bubble and Rose's speech bubble, and they lead into each other. But if you hit Rose's speech bubbles first, you get the second part of what is said first. And so I really appreciate when games do that, and it really kind of is something that is unique to the gaming medium that movies you know, can't do. Even a movie like Memento or Pulp Fiction, excellent movies, both of them. Not docking those movies at all. Like, they are Quentin Tarantino, like one of my all-time favorite directors. You know, I love those movies. I'm not saying that those movies are bad or that those movies need any fixing, but I'm saying you still watch those movies from start to finish in a linear order. You know, you still experience them, you know, in one particular way every time you watch it. Where what is unique to video games and to video games like this that show their story in a way that is unique to this medium is you can, each person in each playthrough and each time that you go through the story, you can experience differently. And then there are games like The Last of Us, which I think has a great story and some good gameplay, that don't do that. You know, you always the story, and the cutscenes always appear in the same order every time you play it. And you know, I'm not saying those are bad games. I'm just saying that they're not taking the full advantage of the video game medium to tell their story in a way that games like this do. Okay, so we have a picture, and we've got, let's see, I want to count the kids and see if I can figure out who's who. Okay, so I think Yulia, Marie, Nils, Lawrence, and Herman. And Lawrence and Herman are obvious. Herman has his hat in the picture. Lawrence is the big one. Nils, you can kind of see, if we bring it really close, we can see that he's got his glasses. And both Marie and Yulia have blonde hair, so it's kind of hard to say exactly which one is which. The day everyone arrived. Faded photograph. 5 young children smiling, but with anxious looks upon their faces. So why are the children anxious? Who is this woman? That's not the headmaster, because remember from the chalkboard, the headmaster is an old man in a chair, so, you know, maybe he's in a wheelchair. So who is this woman? What happened to this woman? How come no one has talked about this woman yet? And just in general, this game does a really good job of setting up its mystery and of slowly giving you little pieces of this mystery and things like that photograph. It's entirely possible to play through this entire chapter and miss that photograph if you don't go to that specific drawer, if you don't open it up, if you don't examine the picture, if you don't read the picture. You know, it's completely possible to miss those little things if you try and play it like an action video game, like a Dark Souls game, where you're just trying to like hurry your way to the next chapter. And so I think that's what reviewers like PSVR Without Parole kind of miss about this game, is this is really a game that you get, the more you put into the exploration, the more you get out of the story. Dried flower bouquet, a bouquet of dried flowers for offering to the remains of one deceased. And I'm going to guess this is poor Nils' rat. Hello, Mr. Dead Rat. And if we read the information for this mouse, oh, it's a mouse, it's not a rat. Mouse carcass. Carcass of New the mouse, delicately glazed by a steady hand, its throat bulging. That might be a clue that may come up in this chapter. It may come up in a much later chapter. New appears to have died by swallowing something far too large. Ellipses. So yeah, that's definitely a clue to keep in the back of your noggin for later.
Good morning, little New. A fairy has come to our school. I wish you'd come back instead.
Oh.
Don't go gnawing up the whole place. I don't look kindly on that way you've gone.
Nils misses his mouse buddy, and he wishes the mouse was alive instead of the fairy coming to the school. Poor dude. Okay. So, yeah, let's go see what's out here first. This is a smaller outside area. Man, this game just looks so beautiful, and this is, you know, again, why I wanted to re-record this is, you know, with everything being all smeared like it was in that first stream, it really does a disservice to how beautiful this is, even if you're not looking at it in VR. Like, you know, when I peek and I look up at the just the flat screen, like, this game, really, the art design, it's just amazing. And like I said, I'm really gonna miss when I'm done with this stream. That's another reason why I'm redoing this, is I'm really trying to drag out and get the most out of my time with this, because I'm gonna be really sad when this is over. Alexis, taken like a leaf in the wind. I am a leaf in the wind. Yes, any Firefly fans? I wonder if that's, I mean, I know taken like a leaf in the wind is a common turn of phrase, but I just kind of wonder if that is a little nod to the movie Serenity. And who is Alexis? Will we ever find out who Alexis is? That I honestly don't know. Okay, so things are still looking good. I've kind of ironed out some things with being able to quickly check the quality and whatnot of these streams. So hopefully, at least when it comes to that, I'm getting better at this. Okay, so we came from the, okay, so we've been that way. We've seen. Okay, so we've seen everything there. We've seen everything there. Came from the kitchen. Okay, so we got that. We got that. We got the outside area. This is that little first room that we were in. And it's just a reminder of who the kids are. So let's go see what our old buddy... Oh, let's see what Lawrence is writing on the chalkboard there. So here, once again, the game is giving us or giving us that sheet with a reminder of who all of the characters are. And here, and this is where you can kind of tell this is a Japanese-developed game that is telling a British story or kind of translated into English. I heard the kids refer to the big one as Lawrence, but here it's clearly written as Larnick. So we've already read that. We already know what's on that sheet, so let's see if there is a speech specter.
There we go. The fairy message board is complete. Now the fairy needs a place to sit. Who could have imagined that we'd be friends with a fairy?
So I do wonder if that's something that's going to come up later on in the game, if you can use that chalkboard to communicate with the kids. So here's Nils. We see that the door is closed. So let's see what Nils is up to. Oh, he's looking at Rosa, who is playing some kind of a game. And there is our speech specter there.
Rosa, what's that basket?
I'm going to catch the fairy.
Oh, no, Rosa. Fairies bring nothing but bad luck. Think of Yulia.
Oh, that's something I just noticed. So during the first playthrough and during my playthroughs, like, I kind of thought that the kids, all of the kids, were just like super happy and super excited to have made this fairy friend, but Nils is skeptical. He not only is he skeptical, he thinks that fairies, like you said, bring nothing but trouble. And look at what happened to Yulia. And Yulia was sort of like the hype man for the fairies. You know, she was one who was like, yo guys, like, hide your herbs, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your life. So Yulia was the one who was trying to get all the kids on board to, you know, attracting a fairy and making friends with a fairy. And then Nils, obviously, according to what Nils just said, it brought Yulia some kind of bad luck. So something bad happened to Yulia for befriending a fairy, or at least Nils thinks that something bad happened to Yulia for befriending a fairy. So very interesting. You know, that this game, it's just so stinking replayable. Like, you know, you pick up, you know, as you learn what happens later on in the game, which, you know, things that I don't want to spoil, you kind of learn, you know, kind of pick up on things you don't necessarily pick up on in the same way during your first playthrough. Nicholas and the Forest Creatures. The tale of a young man's adventures that also describe the behaviors and habits of various animals. I know. I'll go to the forest. I'm sure to find life there. Creatures large and small, every one of them a spectacle of the miracle of life. Yes, the forest, where life abounds. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay. Actually, I want to see what happens. Ah, yes! I kind of figured.
The fairy won't be able to resist this toy. I've seen how it drives Tia nutty.
Oh no! Oh, she missed. Oh no.
Well, that didn't work.
No
How the heck
fairy.
am I to meet the fairy now? If my leg were only better, I could have done it.
Oh, her poor leg. So this right here is the prime thing that taught me to read the description for every object, because this was one of those puzzles that I got stuck on big time. And I picked this up, and it flies into the inventory, and I, you know, never read what it was for, and I should have read what it was for, because it says, a cat toy made of grass. Tia, the black cat, which she referred to there, loved to play with Yulia when she'd bring this toy out. So this tells you that the black cat loves to play with this toy. And once again, we can see here her hurt leg. Like, I feel bad doing that, you know? Like, this is one thing that may not translate perfectly to the flat screen, but you know, when you can look at it and it looks like this character, this person is sitting right in front of you in 3D and in VR, and it looks like you're in this environment. When you do something like that, it's like you're hurting a real person, and it's just, you know, that's definitely something. So I talked about, you know, games justifying being games. Um, um, and so with VR, there is that second layer of justification. Why couldn't this just be a flat screen game? Why did this game need to be in VR and not just a flat screen point and click adventure? And I think that's the reason, you know. Like, yes, it would work in a flat screen, but you definitely do get more out of it by feeling like you're the environment, by actually playing the game and seeing the people right in front of you, like you have another person sitting right in front of you. So let's see what these children are up to. Huh? A slip of paper for indicating one's choice spot for the fairy's chair, only this one is still blank.
Oh, it's blank. This must be Neil's sheet. They just can't seem to get over what happened.
Oh, see, and I never noticed that before. So, yes, the other kids too notice that Niels is definitely not happy about the fairy's presence here. Ballot: a slip of paper for indicating one's choice spot for the fairy's chair. It reads, "I choose the River of Prayer." Oh, there's one that had fallen here on the floor. A slip of paper for indicating one choice spot for the fairy's chair. It reads, "Atop the inner garden tree." I bet that was the one who. Oh, and it's on the chalkboard, so I guess it doesn't matter that it had fallen to the floor. But that's definitely his spot, just based on what we know about him. He likes high places. We saw him napping up in that tree earlier. Upper floor lobby. That might be Marie's. 7th chair in classroom 2. And entrance. I don't quite know who those other chairs would belong to. So these are the spot for the fairy's chair: the upper floor lobby, entrance, atop the inner garden tree, River of Prayer, in classroom 2. Yeah, so the only ones that I kind of know for sure is I know the blank one is Nils, because he doesn't like the fairy, so he doesn't want to play this game. And atop the inner garden tree is definitely Disguise, because he does oh, he does like high places and sitting and sleeping in that tree. So I got really excited first time I found this padlock key under his hat, because there's a door upstairs that is locked that says no entrance, and I find this key and I'm thinking that this is what's going to unlock the door, and it just says padlock key, a sturdy old key to a padlock no longer in use, and yet it remains one of Herman's favorite possessions. It doesn't go into your inventory, it just flies right back to his head. So, I don't know what this is. Stomach medicine. Small bottle of stomach medicine. Uh-oh. Someone might have a tummy ache. So, yes, he does have a tummy ache. Okay, so let's see what we're supposed to be doing here. Go see the headmaster. Okay, so remember, the headmaster's room is in the library there. And the cat is blocking our way, and it looks like whether we come down that hall there or go here, the cat's blocking our way. So let's see if this updates. A cat blocks the way. Yes, indeed it does. So like I said, this was the puzzle when I first played this game that I was totally in agreement with Brian Paul over at PSVR Without Parole's analysis that these puzzles were too obscure. And adventure games... I was thinking about this the other night. Adventure game puzzles kind of fall to me in 3 categories. The first category is just straight up pure logic puzzles. That means puzzles that are solved with math, basically. I'm talking about like formal logic, which is, if you look at the way formal logic is written, it's just algebra. And those kind of adventure games I would categorize as games like Myst, where the puzzles may seem obscure, but if you chart it out, if you make your charts and you do your math and you do your algebra, you can solve all of the puzzles by doing it that way. Then there are puzzles like this, or like the Telltales of Walking Dead, where they are environmental puzzles. And Telltale's The Walking Dead, their puzzles are a little bit more simple than this. Like, I don't think there were any puzzles in Telltale's The Walking Dead series or any of the Telltale games that I ever got stuck on in the way that I got stuck on this. But they're puzzles where they're not logic puzzles. Like, you don't solve them with a math formula or with a a logic grid. You solve the puzzles by finding things that you can mess with in the environment. And these, if you can't tell by now, these are my favorite kinds of puzzles in these adventure games because they go hand in hand with the story. The puzzles help tell the story of the game. Like in Myst, yeah, there is something of a story in the game of Myst, but the puzzles and the story are completely separated. Like, you don't get more from the story by solving the puzzles. The puzzles reward you with video clips. It's sort of like The Last of Us. They just give you the next section of the movie. And then the third kind of adventure game, and this is what most people think of when they think of adventure games, or what they used to before Telltale sort of revitalized the genre, are what's called moon logic puzzles. And they're puzzles that seem like they're environmental puzzles, but some of the solutions to those puzzles are so obscure that you would never figure them out, even if you read all of the descriptions and like the one famous one, I can't remember if this is a Sierra game or who developed this one, but the puzzle where like you have to find the tape and you have to disguise yourself as someone else, so you put the tape on the ground and then you have to scare a cat into running into the tape, and the cat's fur gets stuck on the tape, and you pick up the tape and you use the tape to use a mustache as a disguise that makes you look like someone else. And it's just like, how was I supposed to figure that out? There was nothing in the game that leads you to that puzzle. And so, like I said, puzzle games kind of got a bad rap because of puzzles like that, where they're just far-fetched logic, where a lot of those puzzles are, you just have to do endless trial and error to either figure it out, or you have to use a guidebook. And this is, back before the internet. So really what they were trying to do is sell these guidebooks that told you how to figure out how to solve these puzzles. But again, like I said, games like this...
Tia, come here, Tia. Oh, Tia, you never listen. Sometimes I wonder if you can even hear me.
Aww.
This won't do. Fairies don't like cats at all.
So Yulia is trying to get the cat to come to her, but the cat's not responding to Yulia. Cats are stubborn creatures. Okay, so the solution to this puzzle, we remember that we picked up this cat toy, and it specifically said, Tia, the black cat, loved to play with Yulia when she'd bring out this toy. So that, it couldn't be any more clear. You give the cat toy to Yulia.
Come now, Tia. Over here.
Oh. And Tia's responded now. Tia wants to play with a cat toy with you.
Tia, thank you. Aren't you a good one? Now
and
the
Yulia
headmaster
picks
can
up
meet
the
the
kitty.
fairy and ask about that favor of his.
Hello, kitty. Aww. Aww. Hey, kitty, 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 kitty. Okay, so we have solved the puzzle. Or have we? Yes, I know, because I've played this section twice now. So we're going to do it in a little bit different order, just to kind of show how these clues are given out. Fairy Fundamentals. A puzzling passage. To study fairies, a life close to children is ideal, as the creatures commonly appear in such places. So why do fairies hang out in places where children are? It kind of makes me wonder, like, again, the time period. This was a time when things like children getting tuberculosis and children dying, the life expectancy was young, and children dying at a young age was very common. So I'm kind of wondering if fairies aren't specters of or harbingers of death. To harness their power and energize in the trading of time amongst living things, simply have a child make a wish. Fairies are quite hesitant to ignore such entries. So fairies like granting wishes, and this coin we did find in our playthrough. But you know, this is just one of those. And I think there's a clue to it too, which is how I found it the first time. It tells you to look in a high place in the library or something. So there's the headmaster's office. The door is open, but there's a specter of a child here. Let's see if we can get her to say something.
Right, I'll take these upstairs. Goodbye, Headmaster.
Okay, so why did Marie point out that she is heading upstairs with the towels? That might be important, but don't we have everything we need to solve this puzzle already? Oh, the music change in this room. You know, the things that give me chills, like this, the music change when you go into the headmaster's office. Just listen to it for a moment. It's got those low notes, it's got those flat notes. It just lets you know that something foreboding is happening. Letter to a fairy, a message written in jittery scrawl. So someone is definitely urgent with this message. Kind fairy, wandless fairy. The fairy needs a wand. If you've befriended the children in good faith, then please use my golden wand to keep Rosa from spotting the red ring on that fateful night and going out into the terrible storm, and spare her from such misfortune. Okay, so I think that kind of seals it. That the thing that Rosa spotted that caused her to hurt her leg and that is continuing to hurt her leg is a fairy. So is it us? Or, because remember, fairies exist in the land where time stands still, and they can move both forwards and backwards in time. And remember in the tutorial, and this is why playing the tutorial is important, because it sets up the lore, fairies have two rings. They have the ring of time that allows them to move around in time, or to different places or epochs in time, and then they have the red ring, the ring, the ring of time, or the ring that you can take someone's time on Earth or take their life force. So if in this letter, and this is something that I'm just now noticing for the first time, Rosa spotted the red ring on that fateful night and going out into the terrible storm. So did she see, either is there another fairy that is an evil fairy on these on the grounds of this premise, or am I evil, or is it one of those things like Shakespeare said, there is nothing good or evil, but thinking makes it so. Broken ear trumpet, the headmaster's precious horn-shaped device for funneling sound into the ear, only it's been crushed by some great force.
I can't hear you, Sonny. You're gonna have to speak up.
Okay, sorry. Are you really playing a VR game if you don't kind of goof around with some of this stuff there? And here is our headmaster friend. And is this the gold wand that the fairy needs, perhaps? Oh? I can't take the wand.
Heavens, the golden wand has lost its tip. Another trespass committed of ignorance. We are blessed by a fairy's visit, and yet I am not permitted to shave down my time to save one poor girl.
So interesting. So does the headmaster... So, you know, the headmaster obviously believes in fairies. He knows that there's a fairy on the premise. He wants to shave down his time and give his time to another poor girl. Now, that letter, he wants to save Rosa's fate of hurting her leg, but if Rose is not dead, or if all the children aren't dead, then what good is what life am I going to be restoring by taking his life? And the plot yet thickens still. A desktop animal skull signifying a fascination with the study of life. And I would also say a fascination with the study of death as well. Headmaster's diary. On the last page, a message is written in a jittery skull. A fairy has arrived and it's yours. Margareta, if this is your doing, then perhaps you've given me a chance to atone for my sins. Okay, what sins did the headmaster commit? Is the headmaster somehow responsible for the death of one of the children, or the death of all of the children? Or does the headmaster think that he's responsible for Rosa hurting her leg? So this tells us the date and time, Wednesday, the 22nd of October. And the mechanical calendar shows the day and date, Wednesday, 22nd of October. Man, the story, like, that's another great thing about this game is, and I think this game on the PlayStation Store goes for like $20, I want to say, but you just get so much value out of it. It may not be that long of a game. Like if you kind of rush from puzzle to puzzle, you don't stop to tell stories like I'm doing, then it's entirely possible to finish this game in just a few hours, like maybe 5 or 6 hours. But if you get really invested into the story, this game rewards subsequent playthroughs by you pick up on things that you might not have picked up on, or things that are said that kind of have you scratching your noggin make sense later on in the game as you've played more of it. Okay, so let's go see if we can find Marie or Margareta. Again, not sure. So the letter here mentions that the children's name are Lawrence, Herman, Marie, Nils, Rosa, and Headmaster. We know that Lornick is called Lawrence by the kids, so is Marie Margareta. That's something that I still have not figured out, and I have no idea. Let's go up here. This is just my favorite spot. I just really like this spot. Even though, yeah, there's nothing up here. So yeah, I really think if you, I can recommend this game 100% if you like doing these deep dives into the story, and if you think that it's something that you could, replay, at least twice, maybe a third time, to sort of see if you pick up on those clues, or if these little clues or these things that the kids say make sense. Having the knowledge of what transpires.
I'm awfully excited. I'll finish in the infirmary, then go and join them in the classroom.
Okay, so Lawrence and Herman are excited, and I'm assuming that she means excited by the presence of this new fairy friend of theirs. Again, who is this older woman? She was in that picture with the kids. Photograph stand, a wooden photo stand holding a picture of a young woman smiling warmly. And I call her older woman not because, she's particularly old, but she's obviously or clearly older than the children. So, she might be in her mid-20s. The children could be anywhere from their teens. Rosa, looks like she could be 11 or 12 years old. So this young woman, is definitely not a child. And we haven't seen her anywhere outside of the photographs, and we haven't even heard her mentioned outside of the photographs. So very curious as to who that woman is. Oh, and I see something in the towels. Oh, and it falls onto the floor.
What's this on the floor?
I've always had it drop onto the floor. I wonder what happens because it did look like it gave me the option to grab that without grabbing the towels. I wonder if you get like a different bit of dialogue or something if you just pull it straight from the towels.
It looks like a prayer branch, but I've never seen one quite so big. Well, it could be important. I'll be sure to return it to the headmaster.
So, The chronometer would give us another clue. Where is the golden wand's tip gone? That looks like it could fit on top of the golden wand. What would keep Rosa from hurting herself on the night of the storm? Is that something we're going to have to do in this chapter? Or perhaps it is giving us a little hint for something that we're going to have to do in a subsequent chapter. Golden wand tip, the broken tip of the instrument known as the golden wand. So there we go, it tells us exactly what that is. That is the tip to the golden wand. And I think, no, oh, that's the infirmary. The door to the infirmary is closed. So that's where the children would go if they are sick. The girls' dorm. So let's go finish up this chapter, and this will complete the tonight's Let's Play. Like I said, tonight it was just a redo to sort of correct the very, very poor quality from that first one. Like I said, that video is still up on the channel right now. If you go back and you look at the, not the part 1 redo, but you look at the original part 1, you'll see exactly what I mean about the quality of the video. That just gets so degraded and so full of artifacts that you can't make out what it is. Like every time I move my head, it just looks really ugly, and I think I've ironed that out. And I think I've ironed out my frame drop issues. Like hopefully, and I'm sort of peeking my head up here, it looks like things are moving smooth and not jittery like you're watching a slideshow. Okay, so now that we have the tip of the wand, we can go back and see the headmaster and finish this portion of the playthrough. And I haven't checked the live chat in a little while, and I know that you know, if you type something in the live chat, I think it does go away after some time. So if you've typed anything and I haven't responded, I'm really sorry. That's still something that I'm not quite sure how to do in VR, because it doesn't show up in the VR headset, especially doing it through OBS and doing it through the computer. There's no way to get the live chat to appear in the headset. So every once in a while I kind of have to peek down over at my phone and see if anyone has typed anything. So if anyone is out there watching, hello, and thank you for being here. It really means a lot for anyone who watches these live streams. You know, I think I said this before, but I have just been having a really difficult time with a lot of things lately. Difficulties at work, which, you know, I won't get too much into, other than things have been just extraordinarily difficult. I work in a high-pressure environment with a lot of responsibility, and it's just been, oh, the cat really reacts. I think there's like a golden rule of video games. When there is an animal that you can pet, you pet the animal. Hello, hello, kitty. And then, you know, I've just been really lonely lately. You know, I moved to a new area, the pandemic hit. You know, I've had a hard time, you know, kind of making new friends. You know, obviously things kind of shut down. So I couldn't, you know, really make new friends. I also didn't realize, you know, you think of Oregon, I live in the state of Oregon, you think of Oregon as being like this liberal bastion, but that's really mostly just Portland and kind of Salem and Eugene. The rest of Portland is like a big time red state. And, you know, I don't want to get too much into politics on this stream, but you know, I'm not quite a red state kind of guy, if you know what I mean. So, you know, especially after the era of Trump, it's made that difficult. And something else too, you know, I think I've mentioned to you guys, I do have a daughter. She's 2.5 years old. She lives in another state. And just with everything that has been going on with, you know, having the high pressure job that I can't, you know, it's not that I can't afford to take a whole lot of time off work. It's more that, sorry, I'm just kind of checking to see if anyone said anything in the live chat, since we are coming up on the end of this live stream as soon as we finish up this puzzle. You know, it's that, you know, I'm the boss of where I work, the, you know, the top boss of where I work. You know, so there are things that I can't delegate out. So, you know, even though I, you know, may have the means to travel out to go see my kid, you know, that just always, you know, isn't an option. You know, there are limited times that I can take off, and there are limited amounts of time that I can take off work. And you know, being a dad is like my favorite thing. Like I love my kid, and it just breaks my heart that I see her so infrequently. So I am trying to you know, remedy that and move back closer to where my kid is so I can spend more time with my kid. Okay, let's do it. Let's repair the wand.
Oh, the golden wand is restored. Kind fairy, you have my fullest gratitude. Now, take the wand and take my time on this earth.
Oh man. So this is definitely the part where the story starts to you know, kind of take a turn for the dark. Like, we are straight up about to suck the life out of this poor old headmaster when we take this wand. So we go from, you know, being mischievous and putting funky tasting herbs in the kids' stew to taking someone else's life.
Indeed, take my time unto yourself.
Huh?
And please, if you would be so kind, spare the girl, Rosa, from harm.
So again, why do we need to take the headmaster's time to save Rosa if she's not dead? Curiouser and curiouser indeed. Okay. So I can see my ring is, both of my rings are glowing. I have contains the headmaster's remaining time. The time of one so consumed by the past will enshroud the chronometer in a dim light and deliver a fairy into the past. Oh, I've got his hand. The time of one so consumed by the past will enshroud the chronometer in a dim light and deliver a fairy into the past. So I wonder if I had to take his time to be able to travel to the past, because so far we've just been traveling into the future. So yeah, definitely mysteries in this game. Really, really well set mysteries. The chronometer glows with a dim light, like a long-lost memory. Hold it with both hands to be delivered to the past. And back to the past we go. So this will save the game. And we are not going to travel to the next epoch. We are going to return to the title menu. I am going to remove my the headset real quick. And that is it, guys. That is the Déraciné live stream redo. So hopefully this is a much better quality than... Oops, let me face the board there. Hopefully this turned out in a much better quality than the live stream part 1. Hopefully, you know, it doesn't turn into a slideshow. Well, I know it doesn't because I had it open on my phone, so I could kind of see the quality, and I can see on the computer here that it's not dropping frames. So after tonight, I'll leave that live stream up. I'm going to be deleting it tomorrow morning, you know, just in case someone wanders upon that first one and thinks that all of the streams are of that quality. But I will be deleting that tomorrow morning, and it will be officially replaced by this part 1 redo. Guys, anyone out there who has been watching, thank you so very much. Like I said, I really appreciate it. Being able to talk to you guys as I do these live streams definitely helps me feel at least a little bit less lonely, and in particular with this game, honestly, it makes me feel a lot less lonely, so I really do appreciate it. And to anyone who is watching this after it has gone live, If you guys have made it this far, thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys are out there and that you guys are watching these. I hope that you guys have enjoyed my commentary. I hope you've enjoyed this Let's Play, and most importantly, I hope that you enjoyed the story of Déraciné. Like I said, you can really tell that the developers put in a lot of work in crafting the environments, that the script writers put in a lot of work into crafting a really good story and into making it fit into a video game, so the story is just very well told in general. And with that, I will say goodnight to you all. Thank you very much. Mutant Fox, signing out. Ow!